welcome back for Game 3 of 100 Thieves versus TSM. After two pretty turbulent games, the teams will return to the stage to battle for what is a pretty critical Game 3 as these two teams are trying to win themselves the best of 5 here in our third place match. But it's time for the draft, lads. Akali once again banned away, Kindred also going to get taken off, and I don't think there are going to be too many changes.
Yeah, I expect these to be the bans that will always stick for these teams, especially the Akali for 100 Thieves. The Varus is jumping up there as one that they are always banning. TSM, Rakan, I expect to be the next one here. And then potentially the Gangplank as well, unless they feel like they'll be able to play the Ryze counterpick into it well.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much changes here. Cody Sun staying on the lineup as well. Probably expect them to keep him in. Did have a very good early game look last game for 100 Thieves. Aside from the vision mistakes around Baron, the teamfight mistakes in the jungle, they should not feel under a whole bunch of pressure after just that one match and feel like they have to switch everything up for the series.
Shen ban again though from 100 Thieves is kind of curious, so 10 seconds now for TSM to pick their final one. We've seen quite a few support bans. I think Shen is mostly joining in as 100 Thieves revisit that first ban. And Gangplank though will be the mainstay as Irene calls it. And looks like Alistar may be selected again, but Olaf left open. Could mean that Andu had a great game one, stealing that Baron to win them the game, will take a revisit.
Yeah, I think the Olaf will go over here. TSM now have their pick of Braum, Tom Kench, and even going for something like the Alistar and taking that away. But the Kai'Sa has been what they've gone to here. It also was what helped them rush down the Baron and have the ability to do so. And they've picked it very early on in their drafts over and over again. I expect the Kai'Sa to jump up here.
They have first picked it multiple times. See if they feel that they need to get it that early in the draft if 100 Thieves would actually take it away.
Well, they do go for the rotation, so taking Braum and Kai'Sa. We'll see what 100 Thieves react with. It looks like Aphromoo is going to stick to Alistar. He is the birthday boy after all, so going to make sure he gets this champion for the 3rd game in a row. I think more than anything, as 100 Thieves consider this pick, I wonder if Bjergsen will take a pick earlier, because this is a decent spot to try and set up a mid lane matchup and then ban out some counters, because consistently in phase 2, he has lost the likes of Aurelia, the likes of LeBlanc.
Yeah, well, last time around, it was just blind pick the Ryze and let the LeBlanc come through in round number 2 as far as the ban phase goes. Similar strategies here from both teams so far, so it feels like they just want to play it better, make those corrections on Summoner's Rift, rather than in Champion Select.
Yeah, pretty similar here in terms of composition to before. Same bottom lanes. The Olaf is just different because it got banned in the previous game. And it was what was played in game 1 that was so good. The Graves, though, taking that to deal with the Olaf and match him because both can power farm, but both can also have some pretty decent ganks early.
Grig has so often been on tank duty for TSM, playing the Sejuani or the Gragas or the Trundle. But now he's going to have some real firepower in his hands with Graves. You can play it super offensively. You can either go fleet footwork. Some people have gone press the attack for more burst damage. If Olaf does kind of catch you, you want to try and burst him when he's low to finish him off so he can't get those auto attacks off. He'll back up with W.
Yeah, and this is his first Graves game of the split here for Grig. And when he was brought on, aggressive jungler style, we'll see if TSM can actually play around him, and having something like that Braum always helps out immensely for the Graves and the ganks.
Definitely going to want to have some strong solo lanes to go with a Graves-Olaf matchup here. Going to be very important how these teams play around their junglers in the early game. As we saw last game, very good coordination paying off.
Ooh, Ryze. LeBlanc I expect to jump up here, just 4 mid lane bans, plus the one from before with the Akali, so 5 will be taken off the table.
I like this ban a lot, actually, from TSM, especially in this position, because they're now pressuring 100 Thieves. Like, if you don't ban LeBlanc, how confident is Bjergsen just taking it and then playing whatever matchup Ryu decides to counterpick? And hey, if they ban it, you just counterpick mid lane last if that's where you want to go. So 100 Thieves, they'll run the clock down. They apparently did not like the Vel'Koz, because they banned that one away.
All right, are we going to get a blind LeBlanc here from Bjergsen? Doesn't seem like they trended in that direction, but it would give them, more of a lane to kind of work around because LeBlanc can W in, chain your opponent, and try and set things up with the damage that Graves can bring.
And then the Sion to bring the tankiness here. There's no Trundle that's going to be on the table to kind of reduce the resistances later, and the Olaf is what has to be dealt with. And also, Sion's one of the tanks that can win lane, or at least shove lane, and be considered a shoving lane with pretty much all 4 of his abilities in his kit are area of effect and will help him kill minions as a tank. So
Hauntzer did pretty well in 1v1, but this time it's Cho'Gath actually for Ssumday, so taking another tank, but of course with Shen banned, he can't have that one, so we'll take Cho here instead.
Tank and Baron killing power. Something that even if you lose your jungler, the team on the other side always has to worry about the Cho'Gath when stealing the Baron.
Also pretty good at executing any sort of marksman flying around. Pretty low health. Zilean would put a very good stop to that though. And with TSM typically running, 2 hard carry composition, they already have one from the jungle. So it would be an interesting switch here. Once again, Bjergsen on the Zilean. He had a decent game. Is able to land a decent amount of those double bombs and has some pretty good timings on the ultimate.
Yeah, I remember him being about 50 CS up in game 1. That was eventually equalized, but he had a pretty large lead originating from that lane against Ryu. And now, the Desk was talking about at the start of the day, you probably want to get rid of the Malzahar from Ryu. It's a champion that'll allow him to play against Bjergsen no matter what he plays, an assassin or whatever. But they've opted for banning a lot of those champions away. But I like this because the Malzahar also stops the LeBlanc pick from coming through, which they had left up this time. So he picks the counter pick Zilean to keep his team safe.
Yeah, we have seen this matchup when Malzahar all that time ago was kind of changed a lot and was incredibly strong. It was Jensen that actually pulled it out in that counter matchup and did very well. Bjergsen, of course, also extremely familiar with Zilean, so see how he fares in the 1v1 matchup. But I kind of like what 100 Thieves are doing here, saying, you know what, we kind of messed up around the Baron. That's a pretty easy thing to fix. We'll get Cho'Gath to help us secure. This is a really strong but straightforward comp.
The problem is their mistake around Baron was not having wards in the Baron pit. It wasn't actually a big mistake executing a Baron, smite fight or anything like that. So they need to place the wards. They need to have that presence of mind to not lose track in the middle of the game.
And I say that that is a large responsibility for Aphromoo, who throughout this series hasn't looked on point. He had a lot of deaths earlier in the first game, and in the second game was the person who was leading the deaths for 100 Thieves. And so it's been a bit of an off day for him. And then when the warding comes through, and staying alive is so important so that you can reset when you want, so that you can get your wards down and keep your team safe. So I'm watching Aphromoo in this game in particular to see if he can bounce back from those 2 previous games, despite winning one of them, but it hasn't been a clean performance from him.
All right. 1-1, each team taking 1 game, and it has been explosive here at Oracle Arena in Oakland.
Kind of expected games to go a little slowly, but game 2 did speed things up a bit. So maybe it's just the Drake spawns, maybe it's just something in the water, but I hope as the series goes on, it does get faster. These 2 teams really want to win.
Maybe it's the Tristana Alistar duo bottom lane.
Probably helping.
A lot of playmaking ability here, and once again, Olaf. I always want to track what the team with Olaf is going to do level 1 if they try and go for the invade to get that early information. Ryu right off the bat, though, exchanging blows with Bjergsen here. Both of them taking a sip of the corruption potion.
Yeah, so you're going to want to back before the lane starts to get that refresh, but also they're just pushing so that you can't kind of have your mid laner show up on one of the sides and protect wards. And I'm looking at Grig right now. He has a sweeper in his inventory. If he's able to give something over to Bjergsen or somebody early and sweep a ward, then that would be just money in the pocket right there.
I think they saw Anda place this ward here up by Raptor, so that would be the one to try and go off of. Bjergsen's pretty far from the ward to come over for experience, but Hauntzer might be the one.
I think they're going to wait for Bjergsen.
Maybe they didn't see the ward placed.
We'll have to see in a second, but Mithy and Zven did get their own vision down next to the Raptor camp. They'll now rotate down to the bot side of the map.
Yeah, there it is. Sweeper goes off here, and then they are going to give it over to Hauntzer, but I believe Bjergsen still gets proximity experience on that.
Yeah, you're going to be able to still hit level 2 on the first wave here. Should be a huge thing for Zilean Malzahar, but early on, Malzahar already a little bit difficult to land those last hits and push the wave out until you get some more ranks up in your E.
See, jungle's actually starting on the left side this time around, so bot lane is all 2v2. And Ryu and Bjergsen will be a little less exciting than other matchups we've seen, but still very important to push and keep your CS up.
As you can see too on the mini-map here, once again, Grig on the Graves goes red into Krugs immediately because of the value of this camp. You want to respawn as quickly as possible. Huge amounts of gold experience put into that one, even though it is a little bit out of the way. Then you can transition down into scuttle control on your top side. He did walk over ward in doing so, though.
Yeah, but it's also him having red buff and going for the scuttle. So if an Olaf did show up, it'd be red versus blue. So it's a really good advantage there and making sure that you have at least one of the crabs. We'll see once he gets this one what his next move is, because the Grave doesn't have to go for the power farming right off the bat. He can actually just go for double scuttle, but I think he'll stop by the Raptors, get level 3 there, and then go to the opposite side. But they don't have any more wards to check that bottom scuttle.
Yeah, timers are a little long right now for the bot lane, but Zven and Mithy are at least trying to push in here and maybe give Grig some of that room.
Yeah, if Bjergsen is able to push out mid, I expect him to place a ward on the bottom right side here, but I don't think he can get control over the lane against this Malzahar.
2 charges left here for Ryu, so Bjergsen slightly ahead in the sustainability wars of mid lane. Lands the first number bomb here.
Ooh, nice stun. Dodges the silence out as well. He's going to trade well onto Ryu. Take down that Voidling and clear out the rest of the wave.
Yeah, he's able to explode a lot of those Voidlings. Nice to the AoE. Grig does get Scuttle number 2, being level 3. Pops the blast going here over Anda. Even though Anda did see that Grig hadn't got his blue yet, can't do anything about it.
Yep, just places down. I think that was his own little Poro there, just for some forward vision. And also Grig stopped doing the blue to just go on his camps.
Yeah, he could delay the blue so that you can have more use of the buff later and make the regeneration later. Also, you can delay the spawn timer because Enda will try and calculate that this is the time he kills off the blue. Maybe go for some sort of blue interrupt or mess up the jungle timers. Always is helpful to keep your opponent on their toes.
It's nice to see the difference, though, in junglers, because, like you said, in the series so far, Anda has dictated so much of the early pathing and pacing to Grig, but on something like Grave, having a much better time. And now, finally, it's Anda running off to Grig in the jungle and not the other way around. And
we did kind of talk a little bit about Malzahar's early CSing issues. Kind of difficult for most players to land those. Bjergsen on the Zilean with a sizable CS lead here over Ryu in the mid lane. And as I said, he's going top side to try and take away the second spawn of Krugs because he saw the route from Grig enter from top Tribe Rush down to the Scuttle. He knows that he went red into Krugs. So good move by Anda, honestly, to steal away this second spawn because the second spawn is the one that is not reduced and actually has the huge value.
Yeah, and that's actually, like you were saying, great pathing from him. Puts him on the top side of the map, which he knows Grig will take a back and then show up here. He's got a moment to strike.
Yeah, Hauntzer actually not too bad now, and actually taking up the turret. One more shot would do it, but he gets out of range just in time.
Yep, they weren't able to combine their skills here to force a flash out of Hauntzer. You would want to get the slow from Olaf first to then land the rupture, but they didn't quite have the timing there. They knew they had to rush it before Grig arrived.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what Ssumday's mana looked like there either. It seemed like he was pretty low. But Grig, now he's going to go for an invade and check for the timers here, but the Wolf camp is already gone.
Yep, Grig can't make it in to try and contest.
And actually slingshotting and rubber banding past Grig because Grig was level 4 when Anda was level 3, and now he's gone straight through, and Anda hits 5 first.
Yeah, those Krugs, man. He's able to get the second spawn, and he's going to be able to get his Krugs as well. He just saw Grig invade his blue side, so he knows that his bottom side is his for the taking. He can power farm, get to the level 6 first. He's got his Predator ready as well. So if you get level 6 plus your Predator, he should be able to run straight through any lane to get off gank.
Yeah, and this is where a lot of people go, oh, we lost double scuttles, GG, go next, right? But the Krugs are actually worth so much. If you're able to cycle Krugs, and he's cycling his own right now, that is going to get him very close to that level 6. It would only take him kind of showing up in a lane for a second to actually hit that mark.
And the timing will work out very well with Malzahar level 6. Ryu, while he's behind in CS versus Bjergsen, all you have to do is press R, and you're going to be able to set up a gank very effectively. Actually, Dragon, though, started by Grig, and Anda is there.
And Anda, like you mentioned, is already 6 thanks to that jungle pathing. So nice stun there from Bjergsen. His Hauntzer also pressuring. The bomb is going to go off, but not enough to take down Ryu. Hauntzer, though, trying something in a threat, and there's the ulti. Ryu's caught the shot. He's forced to flash, but there's the follow back. Suppresto under the turret. The bomb is on top, and Hauntzer, he will grab first blood as Bjergsen's forced to chrono shift back to safety, but here comes Aphromoo. Flash from Bjergsen, flash rag there from Anda. That's a kill.
Aphromoo with the roam early on up, gets there before Mithy. They get Bjergsen as he revives from the chrono shift, and it is 100 Thieves actually come out with 2 kills, even though Hauntzer committed and got the first blood.
And Bjergsen just goes so far forward, has turret aggro, and then it takes so much damage from it, has to blow the Chrono Shift, and that was so smooth from Aphromoo there. That's how you start the game off right, when you had 2 games that were subpar for your normal performance. The headbutt on the minion into the flash Q.
Because afterwards here, Dragon started up by 100 Thieves, down to 2,500 health. Grig is here, though, for this fight.
And there's Zven actually over onto Cody. They're going to try and pressure him out. That will force Tristana to rocket jump away. Grig's still here, ready with the smite, but the 100 Thieves trying to keep him out. There's the ult from Grig, but that just helps out. And now a silence onto Mithy as the rest of TSM reinforcements. Zven picked up a bomb. Runs back towards his team, not going to go forward.
Grig's low, and they don't have Zilean revive again. Early on, the cooldown is significant, and you don't get it back that quickly. So they were fronting a little bit right there, but you have to be kind of careful as they came through the river, and they're chased off. That was at a huge cost to TSM. If it had just been Hauntzer committing to that first blood, diving between turrets, and he trades kills and gets the first blood, it's not too bad for them. But because Bjergsen also tries to join, he loses out a lot of pressure on mid lane.
Yeah, they just went in to throw a bomb, and that was absolutely the wrong decision there, because it gets him killed by the turret, and that was so smooth from Aphromoo there with the headbutt into the flash pull.
Also, that allowed Ssumday to push in the top lane, catch back up in CS, and now he's actually ahead of Hauntzer in CS here in the Cho'Gath Sion matchup.
Well, bot side also looking good despite the roam from Aphro. Again, the more aggressive Tristana Alistar lane is getting some pressure down onto the turrets, and 100 Thieves up about 600-700 gold, kind of reversing some of the lanes that weren't looking quite so good. Ryu playing catch up nicely as well, and now it just feels like between the Malzahar ult and this pressure on Olaf, 100 Thieves are the team with all the control now.
Yeah, it comes to Bjergsen if he can actually ulti in time, but like you said, and Ryu, the ultimates combined are something that they can use to train people down, especially someone like Grig in the jungle who's going to be roaming around. He's going to be very squishy. Watching there, but I'm also watching Cody Sun. This Tristana is actually doing work for them. It's got a CS advantage. It's knocking down turrets slowly but surely, and it seems to be forcing the Kai'Sa to take heal instead of the teleport, which is what TSM were using to have Zven go to a side lane and farm.
That's a pretty good point to bring up here, especially as the teleports are keeping right now, and Ryu on the Malzahar is the one with the teleport advantage. He's working with Anda. They move in as a duo to get this deep vision, drop off the Ghost Poro as well. In enemy territory will give you some bonus damage. Pretty free stats right there. Plus the deep vision all over this blue buff. And the turret going down there means that 100 Thieves want to make a play on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, seeing that blue buff, like you said, potentially roaming them to this side. But Anda's actually going and kind of hanging around the Scuttle Crab. See if they do anything here. Aphromoo going for a reset. Is it a lane swap? Will they swap the lanes? I think that might be the call here. Rift Herald is up. That's a tank up top. If you can catch TSM kind of with their pants down here and go, oh, Zven is still farming bottom, there's no TP, you run top lane, you can get the Rift Herald. It looks like Cody's actually going bottom. Aphromoo going to go towards the mid lane here and potentially look for a play.
And this is the other thing that Cody's kind of early success impression now that he's finished the Stormraiser does. We talked about Ryu and Anda being a duo. Well, Aphro adds an awfully good champion to that trio if they want to try and make some plays. Anda, though, is going to dodge the Scry's Bloom, but Bjergsen hits him out with a bomb. Ssumday, though, going to silence Hauntzer after that knockup and look to chase him down. Feast is almost back up. He's got 5 seconds left, but Hauntzer going to walk out in time.
And just for the record, it is a Q-Max Sion here with W second. So the E-Max with the Comet pretty much gone. Just looking for knockup slows into autos for Glacial Augment.
Exactly, trying to make the most of that slow rune. Here we go, even invading. Once again, we talked about the prep work that 100 Thieves did on the bottom side of the map. TSM still able to get a lot out of their jungle and clear some of those wards away.
And now Rift Herald again, 100 Thieves. All of this movement and vision has contributed to just having such a good foothold into the middle section of the map. Grig will kind of know what's going on. He's going to go over into the back of the pit. He's like, uh-oh, now I maybe know too much. And again, Ryu there first. Dual lane coming up for 100 Thieves. TSM can't really contest this.
Exactly, they've got a swap here. 100 Thieves pull everyone up to the top side of the map. Rift Herald going down, they protect it. And they should be able to utilize this towards the mid lane to get some damage on that very important mid lane turret and really open up the other side of the jungle as well.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for, is if they can open the mid lane, which is going to have all that wave clear. But the turret hasn't taken much damage, whereas that top turret, I feel like if you put the Rift Herald down, you actually get the top turret. And that's kind of this mid turret. It would need a little more work other than just the Rift Herald. But but the top one could get you the turret immediately. That's always kind of the challenge when placing it.
Now we need to look ahead to the strengths of both these teams, and TSM definitely want to work as a 5-man coordinated group here. Zilean gains so much more effectiveness when you can group up with the rest of your team in the mid game off of a couple items here from Kai'Sa. So until that point, Zven in the side lane needs to farm up some more money. Once he completes his items, we're going to try and 5-man it, have Sion on the front, and just have Zilean reviving the first target.
Well, looks like at least 100 Thieves will be called to some early action as Infernal Drake is spawning in 55 seconds. Kind of makes sense why Cody and Aphro are sticking to this bottom side of the map. Cody, though, going to play it safe. Rocket jumps away, given how long the lane is. And Grig is trying to clear out some vision. TSM doing what they can, but good coverage here on the right side.
Yeah, with that bottom turret down, 100 Thieves, they didn't swap the map. They got the Rift Herald anyway. It allows them to keep pressure where they can keep pushing this bottom lane up. But TSM have done a good job of pushing them out of the jungle with their control wards. And watching the top side of the map, there's going to be a brawl back and forth because all teleports are up. Infernal Drake in 20 seconds here. Everybody's going to be looking at that objective.
Yeah, both junglers are staying bottom side, protecting their bottom laners here. You can see Anda there trailing Cody Sun and Aphromoo all the way up this lane. And both junglers trying to dodge these wards. They might run into each other.
Yeah, Aphro just going on to Mithy. A great amount of poke there, but the stun is going to land in. TSM going to TP Hauntzer in. But there's the follow-up there from Ssumday, so it'll just be a face-off. Never mind, it's Bjergsen. As Ssumday, never mind, Ryu actually cancels his TP that was coming down.
Yep, the mid laners there were the ones coming in. Top laners are busy exchanging blows here, and Ssumday's getting the better of it.
Yeah, Feast again coming
Oh,
up
the
in about
flank!
10 seconds, but there's the ulti on the Bjergsen. Gonna need to move off the corner ship, but he gets it off just in time. Now Mithy the next target, but he pops the ult and flashes out to the way. The Buster shot, not quite enough to pick him up, but Cody Sun still chasing. He gets so many kills, flash auto for 1. That's gonna be the reset.
And that is going to be 100 Thieves with map control. Ssumday won the top side, pushing Hauntzer all the way back to his secondary turret. They win the 4-man fight around the dragon as well, and will be able to claim the Infernal.
And this is Ssumday doing something with nothing. He wasn't given almost anything. It was Hauntzer who made a play, got first blood mid, and this has just been the pressure that has come from it.
Different counter matchup. Ssumday looking very strong as Cody Sun continuing to kind of dial up the aggression to watch this last replay.
All right, so they start out here in the jungle. Really good flank by Ryu there. There's actually wards all through the jungle too, so maybe going back to see how Ryu got through there. TSM, anyways, they tried to burst Bjergsen before he could get out of stun lock to get off his ultimate. He does not. In any case, they flash over the wall, finish off the kill, and still are able to get it.
And right here, TSM have swapped the lanes. They say they're going for a quick play, but 100 Thieves, they're right there as well. They have everybody in tow.
Still got the Rift Herald as well. But it looks like Andrew is maybe going back down towards the mid lane. Still 100 Thieves reinforced here in the top lane.
Yeah, predicting the swap. And now Cody Sun with the Storm Razor and the Zeal ready to knock down turrets with his tanks pretty much defending him here. And that's going to be Hauntzer pushing out bottom, but I feel like they're going to seed this turret.
Remember, 100 Thieves also still have the advantage with the Rift Herald activated in mid lane, so they can get 2 for 1 here. Bjergsen's going to try and put a stop to it, but even if you stun her up, still gets the damage off.
That's enough, just barely. Bjergsen can't quite keep 100 Thieves off the turret. As a result, that's them going up 3-0 in turrets right now.
And TSM are just losing across the map here. The Drakes are going over to 100 Thieves. The bottom lane with Cody Sun and Aphromoo was able to burst through and get that turret very early on. And is that overextension through mid lane from TSM that cost them a lot and so kind of dispersed all of their pressure.
Let's take a step back here and look at this game from the lens we had coming into playoffs, where every team was talking about 100 Thieves, so predictable. They only play for late game, only play for those later team fights, trying to transition through objectives. But this series, they have come in with back-to-back Tristana Alistar lanes for the bottom lane for early pressure, and Olaf as their priority jungler to try and create action early on, and they have done that. Once again, they have an early lead, they have early Drake control, and more map to work with.
Yeah, and that Drake control coming off the bottom lane is something that TSM haven't done much this split, but 100 Thieves have, playing through Cody Sun, giving him a lot of attention, but Aphromoo roaming around, this is a much better game from him here, and we're seeing kind of, we thought about it as like, why is Rikara, getting subbed out? Cody was doing No, he was doing really well. Cody Sun in the last 2 games with the Tristana is just something that TSM always have to think about, and it helps them knock down turrets and progress the game and get it to that late game point.
Yeah, Cody right now is actually solo-ish topside. Does have Aphromoo and the covering, but he is just pushing down waves almost on his own with impunity. That's how big the struggle is for TSM.
TSM are going to try
them out of the
here.
way. Good ult from Mithy, going to knock up the front line. Aphromoo getting low. The bomb on him might be a kill. There's Hauntzer riding in to clean up that next kill. Now Under with the flash. So Ragnarok popped. He actually didn't have the summoner. That's an easy double for Hauntzer.
And TSM strike back, seeing Ssumday bottom. They recall Hauntzer, and it's a 5-man top. That's why, while it was happening, we were like, it's going to be something for TSM here. They had already pulled the play and made it so that Hauntzer was going to be there and kind of give up the split push.
Early game advantage for 100 Thieves again, but TSM, once again, they make the play in their own jungle, get some kills back for themselves, and this is how it started previously. Here we go, though. Aphromoo on the front lines, taking a lot of damage, even through the ultimate. Then Hauntzer just bowls it right down the middle, able to hit him up and finish up the second kill there with Zven's follow-up. Killer instinct, getting some money in the right places. You can see quickly Zven is catching up.
Yes.
Insus is already completed, and the Nashor's Tooth is soon to follow.
Still has some catching up to do, though, because that 30 CS advantage, but all those kills for TSM are going to Hauntzer. He's 3-1 on this tank. He's a little bit ahead in his item build. Now he's got that even CS, but in the side lane, I like how he went and grouped up, and it was potential for Ssumday to have to blow TP, but he didn't lose anything in his turret there. If you keep doing that, though, you might start losing some structures against 100 Thieves.
Yeah, especially because, again, TSM do not have any of their own, so these lanes are pretty short for them to try and play with. Zven actually getting aggressive, TP in. TSM want to force another fight. They're going to force the flash out, but Aphromoo does get stunned on the other end. Here's Hauntzer, but Ssumday is going to join. Ulti out there, make sure he doesn't get knocked up by the Rupture, and the fight resets.
Yeah, Aphromoo does have to burn his flash, and a lot of damage taken as well, though, because his ult wasn't quite back up. So that is a very dangerous situation for 100 Thieves. They have to protect his retreat.
Yeah, but that's the TPs from both of those laners in the top side. So Hauntzer and Ssumday, they'll have to find ways into these fights and probably be closer to the Baron than they would want, or the team's going to have them push and then recall.
Aphromoo looking.
Ssumday also flanking around the side. Mithy needs to get out of there. Ulti's onto Ssumday. They're going to try and take him down, but there's the ult from Ryu. Able to easily shut that down as Ssumday feasts on Mithy.
And what a flank there from 100 Thieves. Cody Sun going in.
He's going in, looking for the 1v1. The corner shift is there for the Resurrect, but here's Anna and Ssumday following up. But there's a good killer instinct for Zven for a bit of extra health. Cody, though, little low. There's the ult from Graves. Is Aphromoo about to get picked off? Grig able to get the kill on Aphromoo. Now chasing onto Ryu, who's got no ulti. Hauntzer flashes forward. Bjergsen flashes forward. Hauntzer does land the stun in onto Ryu as Cody is still trying to fire away. Ryu will be chased down by the Sion. Can't flash away. And Hauntzer on a killing spree.
And TSM get 2 of them out of that jungle fight and set up a Baron once again. Are you kidding me? 20 minutes into the game, they've got control.
But Anda is up. Some days, I'm sure they don't have the abilities to steal it. But Bjergsen has no mana. They have to protect him.
Gonna get some kills instead. There's Hauntzer with the ulti. Grabs the knockup. Zven gets another kill. Actually his first of the whole game. But happy to grab it. Hauntzer has been taking them all so far. As we'll watch this fight again.
Yeah, they don't get the Baron off it, but the headbutt from Aphromoo puts Mithy over the wall, flashes over, ultis, and then there's no ulti from Bjergsen here onto Mithy. He saves this for Zven, crucially, because he gets jumped on here by Cody Sun, and is absolutely necessary. The fact that Mithy sacrificed himself so that the damage dealer of Zven can stay alive and start dishing out damage in the back half of the fight is absolutely massive, as Grig, Bjergsen, and Hauntzer team up on the bottom side of this fight to chase out Ryu.
100 Thieves got a bit split after that first kill, trying to finish off Zven on the Kai'Sa, but Bjergsen got the Zilean ult off over the wall, and it turned the entire team fight around for TSM. Now being able to claim the dragon afterwards as well. We're back to the mid game, guys, and we are back to TSM in their strength.
And again, this game is basically back to even, but TSM this time with a team that actually have 0 turrets at this stage of the game. It will not take long at all to catch up and then easily exceed the lead the 100 Thieves have built up. So we know the Baron's going to be a big point of contention. That's been true all series long so far. But for TSM to be this close to 100 Thieves, given the situation, is very impressive.
Yeah, and this should give 100 Thieves theoretically more room to work with because they have all those outer turrets down, and they should be able to push up, and TSM shouldn't have deep vision, but the fights have been happening on TSM's side of the map. It's been 100 Thieves that have been aggressive in starting them and going for those plays, but TSM have just been reacting. That's their strongest suit when they talked about it in the regular season, was they don't look proactive because they're better being reactive and scaling during that time.
We can see Ander does clear out the pit. Grig forced to check it, does put a ward into the back of it now. The teams will be jostling for vision of Baron back and forth. Bjergsen with TP ready, he's going to roam up to the top lane and start side laning there. And looks like TPs are not quite back for the top laners, so have to be careful as they're still down there. In fact, Ryu going to make this an unfair fight. Oh, blocked up. Here's Ryu, going to try and get the combo started. Silence lands, dead suppressed. TP in though from Bjergsen, going to try and save his teammate. Just the regular resurrect from the passive there. Ssumday will claim the kill.
Predator makes it so easy for Malzahar to roam down the river and join that fight. Hauntzer, I think, chased Ssumday a little bit too far up the river. Now there's an extra man advantage here for 100 Thieves as they try and push up both side lanes. Mid lane here goes down very quickly through the explosive shot of Cody Sun. Meanwhile, bottom lane as well is going to get right up to the turret.
Yeah, and they've separated Bjergsen from the rest of the team. He has to wave clear duty on the bottom side. So if they go for an aggressive play, they have to be careful.
Almost no way to save that turret, so 100 Thieves will swoop in and take it as the tier 2 mid does fall down. Still, teams kind of playing slow, just getting their advantages where they are obvious. No teams just rushing straight to Baron just yet.
Baron does have control wards on it right now, though. 100 Thieves do have complete vision of this area and even the Raptor pit leading up to it. So they would like to reset to grab the purchases right now, but they also want to try and defend these as long as possible. So Cody Sun coming down the river, try and scare TSM back, not let them move in and get these control wards for free.
Cody also building up pretty quickly towards the Infinity Edge, and kind of when that's completed, I think then 100 Thieves will feel a lot more able to freely engage. Although Cody Sun's kind of making me look like a liar, but a stun from Bjergsen makes it a little tricky. Hops out of the way just in time, though.
But Cody Sun, like you said, he is actually very close to it. He has the BF sword, but he's also got 2,000 gold now, so he's at that point now where he'll be able to get that Infinity Edge in almost no time.
Feels like we're not going to be waiting too much longer for a team to start. The Baron TSM, though, kind of pushing in the top lane to move 4 in to take down the outer turret and finally get a structure for themselves.
Yeah, much needed gold here for TSM as they get a little bit closer, and they were also able to clear out some of the wards around Baron critically, but they lost the inside track here on mid lane and bottom lane.
Yeah, especially that bottom lane where Cody Sun looked like he could potentially roam there and not help knock that turret down, but Ssumday's going to be able to take care of it himself, and that's the 5th turret for 100 Thieves picked up in this game, where TSM just got there first.
And look, TSM do need some room around the Baron, so it is good to take down the top turret, but looks like the bottom turret, especially if it went down, looks like it actually barely stays alive.
Yeah, it doesn't have the vision. We have God vision. We can see where TSM are. He's got all of this kind of blank space, the fog of war on his right side. That spooked him a little bit, but it's the right play to back off there and not overcommit.
Infinity Edge is done now, though, for Cody, so 100 Thieves a bit quicker back around the Baron area. There's a Scuttle Crab. Ander will be first to the scene, so should be able to take it. In fact, ignore it for now and just start the Baron and force TSM to come to you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit too late, though. TSM have vision. They've seen them gone into the river here. Grig is pretty far away, though.
Hauntzer goes straight onto Aphromoo, and Cody Sun actually gets knocked up by Mithy's ult. They're going to try and finish up the Baron. They've got the feast. They will get it, but they need to get out safely. Ult there onto the Sion of the 100 Thieves. They're going to turn things back around. Here's Grig with a flank, but now he's going to get run down by Ander. Cody Sun able to find the kill. That last crit, barely not enough to give him the reset, but he's got his sums. He'll be safe. They're going to try and get everyone else out of Zven. He face checks into a silence. He's got the chrono shift, but Grig, he's dead to Ryu. Afro looks to find him, but Zven actually lives, and he's able to kill Ander on the other side. Bjergsen, though, is getting run down. Ryu, flash forward, silence, barely misses onto the speedy Zilean, but it doesn't matter. Ryu gets the kill anyway.
And TSM chased too far up the river. 100 Thieves turn it around, and they still have Baron buff. This is going to be a huge push. Already the teleport's coming out from Ryu.
Yep, Ryu's going to push this one. Ssumday's going to push the top, and then they have Cody Sun and Aphromoo in the middle lane here. A tri-lane push here for 100 Thieves.
The timing was good, but the execution was better. 100 Thieves come up big around the Baron, they'll take the buff down. and they'll win the fight on the back end as well. Mid-inhib is dead.
Zven?
Bot inhib tower is dead as well, and Zven is trying to 1v1 at Cho'Gath, and Ssumday makes him pay.
It has been the summer of Ssumday, and now on the Cho'Gath, he's killing the marksman. 100 Thieves, complete control in this game after that play.
2 inhibs dead as a result. 100 Thieves working on a third with 2 minutes still left on the Baron buff. This tower is pretty indefensible. Cody Sun going to make quick work of that with explosive charge. And now TSM, one last bastion really for them to protect. And Ssumday is going to pop the righteous Gory and run straight towards them. Hold on to Grig. Here's Hauntzer again. Going to try and interrupt it. The corner shift though used on the Graves, and 100 Thieves will try and back out of there. Ssumday is going to get knocked up, but Aphro is playing zone duty. As the ulti will revive Grig. Still there fighting, but under Ragnarok goes unstoppable, and Cody is still there ready to fight. TSM just don't have a window to try and force something, as Zven is still running back from the fountain. And TSM, they'll be forced back.
TSM, they hold on to kind of the last part of their base with 2 inhibs down right here. Hauntzer's coming in, Zven's coming in, Grig is nowhere in sight. He's on the top half of this, and he can't get in time, and it's against the Cho'Gath.
Yep, that's why 100 Thieves are forcing it so hard on the Baron. Why TSM rushed into the fight 4v5, because they knew they had no chance without Grig there. They had to try and stop it. Both junglers actually got away there with sub 50 HP. Olaf as well, very low, but then Zven chases up into the brush. Ssumday right there. They get the combo with Ryu finishing off Grig. That allows the rest of them to chase down the river.
Yeah, this right here. Looked like Bjergsen was going to get away, but that takes a little bit longer than you would think. And right here, Zven, he sees Ssumday. He's got a red buff. Feels like he can kite him.
3 levels down.
Look, you're waiting to dodge a Q, but it's like he never throws it out.
So he wanted to use his killer instinct there to dodge the other side, but once he got silenced, once he ran into melee range and got silenced, he just gets killed in the silence. Chomp down, use the ultimate there. Maybe he thought that it was still down on cooldown or something from the Baron, but in the end, it was not, and now it's on cooldown from taking him.
Whatever he thought, he was wrong in that instance. Ssumday able to grab a pretty unlikely solo kill. 100 Thieves still back with a few seconds left on this Baron to pressure TSM. Mithy ate a ton of damage from the Malzahar Q, and now again, he's going to face check forward for the ult from Ryu. He's going to start to burn him down. He's low as Ssumday is also tanking and threatening the backline.
Ssumday's going to die.
Tries to find a snipe, but he doesn't quite get it. Ssumday, though, will die to the Kai'Sa. So good at shredding through the frontliners.
They're sticking around though. 100 Thieves, even without their tank, they have the pressure of the minions. The 5th player here doing work on the Nexus turrets, and TSM trying to hold them off the inhibitor.
They have to find a way to kill Cody, but it just doesn't seem possible. Under now frontlining, he's going to be the next target, but he pops Ragnarok and walks away. Cody Sun stepping forward, 100 Thieves. Do they commit for this inhibitor?
They really want to, because once you have these inhibitors down, it becomes much harder for you to revisit it, and you just get farm on these guys. You don't want that Kai'Sa to be able to hit that death cap, hit those big power spikes afterwards that keep her defensive.
Minions are still flooding into the base. Another wave is about to crash through with the super minions stacking up, and Zven has to leave to deal with it. So 100 Thieves just trying to keep the pressure up and finish off inhibitor number 3.
And they even TP in Ssumday here after dying, comes back up. They have the ultis.
They're going to go again. They need to try and pick someone off here. Good smoke screen finds Cody and Aphro. And there's Hauntzer charging into the backline, but again he gets ulted by Ryu. He will be taken down. Hauntzer able to resurrect, I think, from the chrono shift this time around, but now he's going back. This time he'll resurrect through passive, and the base is already getting ripped apart. 100 Thieves, it just doesn't matter. They'll take the inhib, they'll win the team fight, and they'll win this game. Cody flashes forward, Ryu gets a double kill, and 100 Thieves are 1 win away from taking down TSM in Oakland.
Once again, 100 Thieves take control of the early game. Playmaking on display.
And having that Malzahar for Ryu, the desk talked about it. This guy has looked good on the Malzahar. He's looked good on the Rise. He's actually holding up against Bjergsen. And this has been, like we said, it's been the summer of Ssumday, but this has been the playoffs for Ryu.
Certainly has, as the whole team, I feel like, has stepped up a lot to put them in this place. Obviously, not what they want to be playing, but need to show good form moving into the Gauntlet or perhaps just Worlds. And of course, that's where they're moving towards as things go on.
Looking towards the next game, we may see some targeted Tristana bans here to try and shift something up, because Cody Sun has back-to-back games, looked pretty good on this. Tristana coming in, the Alistar as well. I mean, you kind of have to break up this combo some way. It feels like 100 Thieves just going to go back to it over and over again.
Yeah, it may end up being you have to pick it here, because I assume that TSM will go and pick the blue side for this one, swap sides, maybe pick it themselves very early on, but the ban of the Varus that's coming through from 100 Thieves, the pickup of the Tristana is working wonders for them right now. And like you said, you have to disrupt it, but I don't know if there are enough bans, because they're already trying to disrupt the GP and stuff like that in these compositions.
Well, 100 Thieves are on match point, and to hear how they pulled it off, we're going to send it over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Let me first welcome Skara to the desk here after Game 3. 100 Thieves coming out on top this time around. 2-1 is the series score. We already heard the casters there hypothesizing a little bit about what needs to change based on the prioritizations of the teams thus far. But it doesn't sound like an easy task, and I want to know how well you align with a lot of what they were thinking.
I just don't want the carry to be Anda. I don't want the carry to be Hauntzer. I want the carry to be Bjerg. You know, recently you think of the games that TSM wins, the pop off of Kali games, right? Bjerg's hard carrying. Why is he on Zilean? Why is he on Zilean supporting at Graves? I think right now, TSM has always been that famous late game team fighting monster team. But at the moment, they can't execute team fights anymore. They're all over the place. Watch Anda's positioning on the Baron fight comes out of nowhere. It's just complete.
Grig.
Oh, Grig,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Complete mess. And so I think it's best for them to, like, in that game, let's say, go for Nazir last pick. You know, look for something where Bjerg can hard carry. Because at the moment, they're going for a utility. It requires a lot more execution from their entire team. I hate it.
And I agree with what Scar is saying, and it's part of why I predicted 100 Thieves to win this series, even though they were starting Rakars, because TSM, you'd think they have the player skill to be able to win late game, but they do not have the teamwork to be able to win late game. Bjergsen now 0-2 on Zilean in this series. He is an amazing Zilean player. His laning phase is incredible for most of it. Scar wants to go in on that a little bit for the dive, but it's just the synergy is completely lacking.
One point before then is just, I think the Olaf pick is working out very well, because it gives 100 Thieves that early game that Jat was stressing was very important to
get to late.
get to the mid to late game. And they're actually getting there with pretty sizable gold leads, 2 to 3K in the last 2 games. So I think that Olaf pick as well has been instrumental for 100 Thieves.
All right, now let's return to that Zilean point.
Bjerg played that matchup just about as well as you possibly could. It looked like Zilean had a point-and-click skill shot. He was 20 CS up, and they overdove and lost the lead. And at that point, the comp is built around Anda. Anda's Grig plus Zilean.
Yeah.
Hard carry this team comp.
You like seeing this as a mid laner? Is this what you like seeing?
It's like, what's the point? Maybe if they trade one for, it's like a first blood, right? So if you go 1 for 1, TSM's up. But this, such a big risk. Bjergsen's up so much in lane. You know, he's destroying this guy. And at this point, Bjerg can't do anything. And you've, like, whatchamacallit, 100 Thieves negated their best player by doing nothing.
That actually snapped back the lane phase. They both hit ADCS at the same time, which was super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, from there, this is some of that early game aggression that the Olaf can bring for them. It allows them to go for more of these invades, as well as the pushing bot lanes that we said by getting the Tristana counter pick into the Kai'Sa. And then when you get to late game, TSM's doing okay in some of these fights. Like, they're doing a good job melting frontline because they have the double marksman team comp. And Bjergsen, I think pretty intelligently held his ultimate there to keep it off, just burning it onto a Braum and kept it for Zven here, which allowed them to actually turn this fight. But once again, they're fighting from behind, and like that's the best play Bjergsen can make, is like, I got a good ultimate off, and that's, you need more out of your best player, and arguably the best player in the series.
And this is that Baron that you guys are talking about here.
Oh God.
The Baron swings in this series have been monstrous. This was one where TSM, I think, needed the hard commit.
Flanking Graves!
Grig should not dash there. He had enough time to walk around, and they were actually, TSM was winning that front-to-back team fight. He gets free hit while the rest of TSM can't follow up, and then he just kind of wanders aimlessly in the lane. Malzahar.
Yeah, it's one of those things where your team comp has really good front-to-back DPS, and you just hop a wall as Graves, and after that, I mean, it's all downhill. They're trying to find any kills they can onto members with Baron buff to try and finish it off, but not going to happen.
And you don't know what TSM's problems are, right? You think it's because their execution is good, but is that their communication? People aren't on the same page for anything. And look, this is just them getting killed for free. That's not the worst of their problems. It's worst thing is that they just cannot play together as a team, and that's usually TSM's win condition late game.
Right, games seem to be getting increasingly scrappy here in this series, but the scrappier the games themselves get, the more in control 100 Thieves looks in any given moment.
Yeah, and we laid out a bunch of complaints and criticisms for TSM and being down in this series. But for 100 Thieves, the thing they are doing that TSM isn't is actually playing to their strengths and picking to cover their weaknesses. Ryu is not going to match up against Bjergsen in the 1v1, so they're putting him on a pure utility pick. They're putting Cody Sun on the late game AD carry, and they're actually able to win that lane to get some of the early turret pressure. And Ssumday, as we've said, actually, in my opinion, Ssumday plays best when he is actually on an island. And you put him on Cho'Gath that can actually win the 1v1 there, and he's still going to be huge late game while you've played the rest of the map well 4v4. Got
the Malzahar that we've been looking for Ryu in this series. TSM will move to blue side here on game 4. No substitutions, so once again, Cody Sun remains in over Rikara. I want to know, for TSM on blue side, where does the priority go? Because you asked the question before game 2 that prioritized Kai'Sa, of all things, first pick. You know, is that enough to buy them that win?
It's hard for me to say because I'm watching the Kai'Sa pick. Zven looks good on it. Sometimes, like, not that one Cho'Gath 1v1, but in a lot of the other team fights, he's playing pretty well. And then I just look at what they're putting around him, and I don't love it. So I don't know if that means you, like, if he needs all those tools to play Kai'Sa, maybe you drop the Kai'Sa. Because then you can open up other people to not need the Zilean to protect him and stuff like that. But they ran it with the Vel'Koz, so I don't think that's the case.
The way I see the series so far is like they tried 3 DPS. Like they tried to rise top lane. Okay, whatever, doesn't work. They needed more frontline. Hauntzer's now tank duty. And so if you have that as being the case, you have carries that are possible in your jungle, mid, and AD position. They just tried jungle last game. Didn't look great. Let's see the mid carry.
Yeah. Thoughts from you?
I think that as well. I think the Kai'Sa can work. I'm worried that Zven is actually a bit of a tilter. We remember his Worlds performance back in 2015, but this is now, you think of the Clutch series where he fell apart, you see that Cho'Gath play here, not being able to take over. But I think the best thing they do is get a triple front line for him, Bjergsen, Zven on damage dealers, and they just go to late against 100 Thieves.
All right, go to late against 100 Thieves with a very standard team comp, but a champion for Bjergsen to carry. That's the call here. Show match roster update. We discovered after our last segment that according to Oracle Arena bylaws, no member of the Golden Guardians can be benched on their home turf. But we cannot separate Freak and Tyler 1 in a duo lane. We just can't. So Pastry Time is headed to the bench, and Matt will be taking up the mantle in the mid lane. Just more shenanigans taking place ahead of that.
Skara, how do you feel about that? Or what position are you playing in the show match?
I believe I'm playing jungle, but we are deciding to switch depending on the situation or the matchup. All I know is Mo is really looking to impress on stage, so he might be trying really hard.
Is he disappointed then that Pastry Time's out?
Yes,
the free lane
He
is out?
literally was just like, he's silver 2? Yes! Like, he was so happy. And now he has to play against a challenger? Like, it's a lot harder.
The silver 2 Yasuo main. All right, well, 100 Thieves are 1 win away from victory. See if TSM can even the score in game 4. Don't go anywhere.
Gonna threaten, there's the ulti, Ryu's caught the shot, he's forced the flash, but there's the forward flash, Suppresto under the turret, the bomb is on top, and Hauntzer, he will grab first blood as Bjergsen forced the chrono shift back to safety, but here comes Aphromoo, flash from Bjergsen, flash rag there from Ander, and that's a kill!
Ult in. Go. You can go on Olaf too, I think no flash. I'll take the time. Nice.
Cody though, little low. There's the ult from Graves as Aphromoo about to get picked off. Grig able to get the kill on Aphromoo, now chasing onto Ryu.
Kai'Sa, watch Kai'Sa. Zilean Zed. Kai'Sa no ult. You got it. Nice. Oh, what the? I think he's dead. Nice.
And the base is already getting ripped apart. 100 Thieves, it just doesn't matter. They'll take the inhib, they'll win the team fight, and they'll win this game.
If meat and bread are the backbone of a sub, then Mike's Way is the heart and soul. Lettuce and tomatoes, onions and spices, all drizzled in the juice. That's the difference. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Rated T for Teen.